Hey, you know me, I'm Ryan. It's the What If Podcast, and I just wanted to weigh in really quick and let you all know that you're only getting half of the What If Podcast that you could be getting.
You done goofed, bud.
You done goofed, bud. If you go to patreon.com/whatifpodcast and you chip in just $5 a month, that's only like $1-ish a week. You're going to get an additional second episode of the What If Podcast every single week that you've never heard before and isn't available anywhere else.
Also, if you join now, there's like 50 old episodes that you get to listen to.
There's a back catalog of, like over 50 episodes plus an additional new one every week. That means you're going to get an additional 50 plus paid episodes every single year. Holy shit, that's a lot of extra show. So if you want to support the show and you want to get something super duper cool in return, go to patreon.com/whatifpodcast, chip in $5 a month, and you get literally hundreds of hours of content. We can't thank everybody enough who's already done it. And if you want to get dope shit for a little bit of money in return, head over there right now.
Ryan, do you want to hear a voicemail from Bear?
Oh, shit!
Hey, boys, this is Bear.
What's
I'm
up?
out here at the burn barrel.
Oh!
We got a full moon out here tonight. I was standing out here. I figure I'd give you guys a call.
Time out. Bear, what you burning?
Yeah, well, I don't know what a burn. That must be an Indiana thing.
Oh, I definitely know what a burn barrel is, but I don't want to know what he's burning. A lot of times burn barrels are used for, and we'll have Bear call us back and verify, but a lot of times burn barrels are used for, you can actually make good charcoal in the bottom of it that you can use in like smoking stuff. So if you're going to
smoke things with wood?
Not usually. You smoke it with meat you smoke
the meat with meat?
Yes.
You just throw meat in there and set it on fire and throw it next to the other meat?
Burn the meat! To burn the meat! No, you smoke the meat by you burn wood down into like hot charcoal, and then you use that hot charcoal to get a grill up to temperature, and then you continue to add more wood.
This is fascinating, but I'd love to listen to the rest of Bear's voicemail.
Please talk to us, Bear.
I listened to an old episode. It was about all coincidence and synchronicity, and
oh yeah,
and that's always been something interesting to me. I don't know. It's funny. You take an impromptu trip somewhere you had never been, and you walk into the odd store, and you walk in there, and all of a sudden you're greeted with somebody that you known from way back. That's kind of cool.
True. Facts.
It's just some things seem very impossible. One time I was driving in Ohio, and I'd been on the road for about a week. And I'd been all over. I'd been up to Chicago, down through Tennessee to Knoxville, and back up to Cleveland, and over to Toledo. I was coming down through Wapakoneta, Ohio. There's a PA there. And I pulled in and stopped and talked to a guy about his rig. He had a real nice rig. And
sick.
Man, I thought, well, I'll do a little bit of paperwork, so I did that. I thought, well, then I'll go inside.
Damn it, Bear.
Oh, damn it. Damn it. Wait, is that in there? Did he call back?
Hold on, I think he called back.
I believe in you, Bear.
Hey, anyhow.
Yep.
That blame it, boys. It got cut off. I'm sorry about that. The bottom line is, if any number of those things would have not happened.
No, Bear, you got cut off so much earlier than you thought you got cut off.
Oh, shit.
I'd have missed him. You know, it was just what you were talking about, this synchronicity or coincidence. And by the way, I think that guy's name's Chance. He's been a guest a couple of times.
For sure. Facts.
That guy's hilarious. I like him quite a bit.
What up, Chance?
He's pretty neat. And guys, you know, he's equally intelligent and clever, and I like the guys you have on there. And I'd like to thank whomever.
My guy's giving an acceptance speech right now.
Wait. What did he say? He said, I'd like to thank whoever.
Hold on.
Somebody on there picked up a crayon or two and drew a picture of the bear.
Uh-huh.
That was pretty cool. I saw it on Facebook.
Hell yeah.
You know, I never had Facebook up until just a couple of weeks ago. But, you know, I'm always wanted to follow people's stuff, but I didn't know anything about Facebooking. And
Bear's wife, he put him on.
My wife, she...
Boom.
I called her Buttercup. Buttercup Facebooks. And she said, well, you ought to get on there and see what those guys have on Facebook. And the other day I was looking through my, whatever the alerts or I was looking through there and,
you got
Ryan
it.
had posted on my page or something that somebody had done a bear to the bear, and I got a real kick out of that.
Hey!
So, I appreciate it, boys. Anyhow, I hope you guys are doing well. Look forward to talking to you guys again someday.
Yes, sir.
Keep doing what you're doing. I'm really enjoying your podcast.
Hey.
All right, hang in there with them.
My man. My man.
Yeah,
What's up, Bear? Shout out to Bear.
They got their voicemail.
Oh.
He started talking to somebody else. Okay.
Oh, all right. It fell off. Hey, shout out to you, Bear. Good to hear from you, man. Thanks for calling in as always.
Very important. That voicemail was 2 minutes and 4 seconds. 2-minute restriction, dead.
Obliviated.
Talk to us as long as you want.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm. Fuck up our Google Drive storage one time.
Fuck up. Fuck it right up.
Fuck it all the way up, bud.
I'm trying to see if we can get a 3-minute voicemail or a 4-minute voicemail, like one at a time. Hey, but if you call
we'll
and
find
you just...
our new limits. We're pushing our edges, bro.
Yes.
Shout out to Chance.
Shout out to Chance. If you call and you don't say shit, oh, I'm going to be pissed. But if you have a 3-minute story to tell or a 4-minute story to tell.
Yeah, no filibustering here.
Yeah, you can't just call and be like, I'm going to wait. If you do, we're going to call you. If you do that, we're going to call you back because we have your number and we're going to roast you. We're going to flame you.
We have a couple more voicemails. You want to listen to them?
Yeah, let's do a couple more before we dive into it today.
Hey guys, my name's Levi. I'm calling from St. Louis.
What's up,
I'm
Levi?
listening to your most recent heist episode, painting. Doing some math, I figured they're both about 50 when they actually stole the painting. If I have all my numbers right, I'm wondering if maybe this is just kind of like a bucket list thing.
Oh.
You know, they wanted to, live on the wild side a little bit and get their jollies off by stealing a painting. You know, if they've been teachers their whole lives, maybe they just wanted to, enjoy life. I don't know, just a theory. Thanks, guys. Love the show. Bye.
Was it Ian?
First of all, Levi, I think you
Levi,
said.
sorry, my bad.
Just because you've been teachers your whole lives doesn't mean that you can't enjoy life, Levi. I don't appreciate your stereotyping of teachers
As
in
a
your
man
voicemail.
who has taught.
As a man who taught for a decade, I don't appreciate you saying that we can't enjoy life. But yeah, I think that's a reasonable theory. That seems totally plausible to me.
Defend. Also, you're right.
Yeah. Just check them real quick. But also, I mostly agree with you.
For what it's worth, for everybody that listened to last week's episode, at the end of the day, that was kind of my take, was that they were like, this was a thrill-seeking, joyride-ass type heist, not like a I'm trying to get my paper up type heist.
Yeah. I think I agree with that.
We got one more from. Do you have the message from Travis up? You remember?
Yeah, there's one about a UFO though. I don't know if we can skip that one.
Well, hey, y'all are here. Y'all are here with us to bang it out. So let's bang it out. Let's do both.
Yeah, sure.
One by one.
Hey, what's up, guys? All
Hi.
right, so I've been listening to your podcast for probably a month or two now.
Tight.
And I
Welcome to the party, my dude.
to every single podcast that is on the Apple Podcast app.
Let's go.
I apologize.
Anyway, my name's Ian. I'm from New Hampshire.
Oh, Ian.
I'm calling because I have a story, believe it or not.
Let's go.
I don't believe it.
So, I was with my girlfriend last night, and I was driving home. We got some dinner, some fucking good quesadillas.
I don't believe it. No such thing as a good quesadilla. Your story's bullshit, Ian.
Hey, Ian, you first of all, I was supposed to just lie to you because, of course, there's such a good thing as a good quesadilla. But what I really want to know is, where do you live? Because I really want there to be a restaurant in your neighborhood called Fucking Good Quesadillas.
And if not, we're coming to open one.
Anyway, so I'm driving home, and we always take this back road that she loves. So It was probably around 9 o'clock, and I'm driving, and I look up, and there's like some lights in the sky, and I was like, oh, it's just an airplane. But I looked again, and it definitely was not. I swear to God, usually when you look at an airplane that's flying, it's got 2 lights and a blinking light. This was 4 lights in like a square or triangle or something. I don't know.
It's 4 lights in a triangle?
It's a drone, my dude.
It was like that kind of pattern. Anyways, so I was like, well, I got to take a picture. So I stopped, and immediately my girlfriend was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's probably just a plane or a drone or something. But when I got out of my car to take a picture, I looked at my door handle to open the door. And then once I opened the door, I looked up, it was gone. And literally no lights anywhere. So pretty weird story. Probably was a UFO. Yeah. So fucking scary. I cried.
All right.
That's the end of Ian's voicemail.
He just hung up?
Mm-hmm.
I cried. Bye. He didn't even say bye. He just hung up.
I think you saw a drone, and
Hey,
if you feel like you need to cry it out. But like, I don't think you need to be too worried.
We're not laughing at the concept of crying. I'm a big crier. I cry at movies. I cry at life. I cry in the shower. I cry all the time.
Dude, sometimes I just think about Coco, and I have a hard time.
Oh, Jesus. Pixar. God. You know every one of those story meetings starts with, so when and how much are we going to make people cry? And the answer is always, all the time and a lot.
But mostly at the end.
And the beginning.
That's
Christ.
how you tell good stories, right?
Up was like a fucking dagger in my eyeball. Anyway, okay, one more voicemail and then we'll get into it.
Okay, you want to play Travis's?
Yeah.
I think this other one is, this is Bear asking for our address because Bear is apparently mailing us something.
Bear.
So we'll keep you guys updated on what Bear sends us.
Unless Bear, hey, tell us if you don't want us to talk about it. We can also not talk about it if it's something secretive.
Then we'll make something up for the people.
That's true. We'll be like, Bear sent us a real live Ferris wheel. It's 180 feet tall. There is 60 different carts on it. Spencer and I ride opposite sides and we scream at each other.
It's actually the only way we record the podcast from now on.
Hi guys, this is Travis. We're the airplane guys actually.
What's up?
Been listening to you guys' Patreon about the flight 970 or whatever it is, 370, MH370. And
just to clarify, we talked about flight MH370 on the paid episode last week for whatever it's worth.
I think we just said, it was somebody thinks they found it on Google Maps.
Yes.
Yeah, that was really, and it turns out they probably didn't, and it's just an airplane flying over the ocean.
Yes, but
as it turns out, I actually know quite a bit about that because I was listening to a podcast recently that talked about it. And, as it turns out, I'm at work sitting in an airplane right now listening to you guys talk about how terrifying it is to fly and, all that good junk. And
that's me, by the way.
Actually, on that podcast, they talked about that picture that they found from Google Maps.
Yep.
And the weird thing about it is I guess they somehow tracked the plane for like 7 hours after it took off.
Yep.
And then now they're saying that it was only an hour away. Anyway, I was just, thought it was kind of weird and pretty cool that you guys were talking about that. And I think that might actually make a pretty good topic to talk about. There's a lot of weird conspiracy type stuff that surrounds that whole MH370 thing. Anyway, just keep on keeping on, I guess. Take it easy.
Right on, Travi. Thanks for your call, bro.
I do want to do maybe not specifically that disappearance, but like a Bermuda Triangle or like disappearances of boats and planes and ghost trains and.
Okay. I'm gonna have to get real drunk if we're talking about plane crashes for an hour and a half because that's like my worst fear. So,
okay. All right.
Let me guess. The plane fell out of the fucking sky. Cool fucking shit, bro. Oh, cool.
This sounds.
Oh, it's a malfunction. You don't say. I'm gonna fucking walk everywhere I go forever. Fuck you.
Sounds like one of our normal episodes.
I mean, you're not entirely incorrect about that.
All right. I think that's
good voicemails for this week. If you want to call and leave us a voicemail, you might show up on the show. We might call you back. We've been calling people back a little bit less frequently than we used to, but we still will and do if you want us to. You can leave us a message at 612-246-4614. Yeah, we've got a voicemail set up. You can tell us anything you want, and you can test that 3 and 4 minute limit if you have a 3 minute or 4 minute long story. But make sure it's a story, or I'm going to drive to your house and poop on your lawn.
gross.
Gross!
Ryan, you want to talk about secret space programs?
Spaceballs!
Oh, have you seen it?
I have.
Nice.
It's been a long time, but I have seen Spaceballs.
Dude, I saw the biggest fucking RV I've ever seen in my life driving down my residential ass street
Sick.
at like 1 a.m. the other night.
Did it park in your neighbor's front yard?
No, but I think it may have been a ghost RV.
Whoa.
This thing was like, it was like the length of a semi-trailer, if
Sure.
not more. And
Okay.
it looked like it was from the 70s at the latest. And it was named, like, you know how you put the name of a boat on a boat?
Yeah.
This had that on the front across the, like, you know, right under the windshield.
And the name was
Land Yacht.
Sick.
Yeah.
Cool.
It made me really happy. And I envisioned, like, as it was coming closer, I stopped and watched this
Yep.
glorious machine
Yep.
roll past. And I was kind of expecting the, what's his name? Barf?
Yes.
I was expecting Barf to be driving, but it was just a very happy looking middle-aged man.
I feel like what should have happened in this moment is just like feet pounding the hardwood floors in your home going, bye, honey.
I found my true calling.
Yeah, like whatever happens, you are hitching a ride with.
I'm going where you guys are going. What up?
I now preach the religion of the land yacht. You are my
All
people
aboard.
now. I can provide you with beats and alien commentary. They're like, dope, we like both those things. Cool.
Yeah, but I don't know why we were talking about that. Space program.
Because I yelled Spaceballs when we were talking about secret space programs.
Yeah, where do you want to start? This one goes in all of the craziest, but also some probably real directions.
For sure.
You want to start with the more realistic stuff and branch out, or take it all the way out there, bud?
I think let's start
You
with.
want to freaking send it?
Yeah, we're gonna send it,
Okay.
but I think we should wait to send it until we get a little bit into the history of secret space programs.
Heck. Well, as usual, I just went full send it, and Ryan went a little more pragmatically into this endeavor. So
Which
I
means
guess you're going to
Spencer
start.
goes, please take it away.
Yep.
How far did you send it? I guess I should ask.
Quite.
Okay. I'm going to take
Blue,
it.
blue avian far.
Pleiadian far?
Blue avian.
Okay, blue avian far.
Blue, like
Blue?
the color.
Avian.
Avian, like the
Far.
bird. Yep.
Yes.
That's
got
how
it.
far I sent it.
Okay, cool. Well, I didn't take it.
Good.
Blue
I
avian.
wouldn't recommend it. David Wilcock is a crazy motherfucker.
I like that you're like, I wouldn't recommend it. And yet we are about to disperse this insanity into all of your ears.
No. I'm not gonna like sully our listeners and our reputations by talking about David Wilcock. I just want to let the listeners know that I did take it there for myself.
Yes.
And that was when I was like, this has gone too far. We need to pull back. You've sent it all the way, bud.
Full send.
Yeah.
Never go full send.
Anyway, you're up first.
At what point do we start making fun of Secure Team 10? Is it now? Is it later?
I can't remember a time before we started making fun of Secure Team 10. I think just from the beginning of time, someone has been roasting Secure Team 10.
That's so true. I feel like he came up on episode like probably 12 or something. And we were like, ah!
I've been making fun of that guy for long before we had a podcast.
If you guys watch Secure Team 10 videos and you're mad at us making fun of him,
I mean, you can hit the unsubscribe button anytime, buddy.
We don't care. Hey, look, I won't say that everything that dude makes is trash.
Hell yeah.
I will.
But there are a bunch of Secure Team 10 videos that are absolute blunt guts trash.
Yes.
Spencer, what's your familiarity with the Lunex project?
0%, bud.
0% familiarity.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about secret space programs, and part of my investigation into secret space programs was, well, is there one?
Yeah, I guess that name is pretty self-explanatory, but the basic idea being that there is NASA and then there's other stuff that is not publicly known or disclosed, I guess.
Yes.
And these may be governmental or otherwise.
Or government adjacent bodies.
Correct.
And for what it's worth, the Disclosure Project as a whole talks a lot about this. And I know we've roasted Stephen Greer on this show before, but
hell yeah.
Yes. But also a lot of the people that Stephen Greer talks to are somewhat more legitimate than him.
Most people are.
Pontificating about, I promise you this is real, and I promise you I've done it, and I've been there, and I've seen it. And
I'm a doctor, look at my arms.
Conspiracy theories are jokes, but this is real, goddammit.
My shirt's so tight I can't think straight.
I'm going to put you in a headlock if you don't believe me.
Anyway.
In 1958, the U.S. Air Force was actually trying to land on the moon.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
This was obviously, as if you have a chronology of U.S. space travel before the Apollo missions, including Apollo 11.
69, correct? Was the actual moon landing?
Yes. Yes? Yes. 69.
July something.
Yes. Embarked upon in 60, when did it actually start, the planning of the Apollo missions?
The Apollo missions? I don't know when the first one was.
I think it was earlier in the 60s than that, but yes. I don't know how much earlier. Anyway, basically, there's a couple primary differences.
Started in 63.
Okay, cool.
The Apollo program did.
There's a couple primary differences between the Project Lunex and the Apollo missions. But one of the first ones is that it was an Air Force project, which is pretty maybe semantic in nature.
Well, when was NASA established?
Good question.
I don't think it existed yet. 58.
58. So
yeah.
This was being planned also in 58.
July 29th, 1958.
Okay.
Almost exactly 60 years ago.
This this doesn't have a month on it, but it seems to be basically
it was conceived at least pre-NASA.
Yes. But also probably its efforts were coinciding. And the reason I found the Lunex project interesting was for two reasons. One, the idea was starting planning in 1958. They were going to have a Air Force base on the moon starting in 1961. That was the plan originally of the Lunex project, was that they were going to try to launch and at least start establishing an Air Force base, a U.S. Air Force base on the moon. It was going to start in 61, and the base itself would be established by 1968. That was their hope.
That seems very ambitious.
It was extremely ambitious, but at the time...
Considering a human being had not been to space yet?
That is correct.
That seems...
That is correct. I mean, a lot of it was prep, right? Like in 1958, they're talking about doing the actual plan to sort of begin things in 61, with the plan of things being real by 1968.
I'm just saying, going from having 0 people ever in outer space to having a base on the moon in 10 years seems rather ambitious.
It's true. There's a lot of boldness that occurred around that time, though, of people being like,
fucking Elon Musk sent it.
We're going for it hard all the way. The idea was that by 1968, there would be 21 circulating but ongoing Air Force airmen living on the moon. And that the project between the times of 1958 and 1968 would cost roughly $7.5 billion.
In 1958 dollars?
In 1958 dollars.
Damn, you got the inflation calculation handy?
I don't have the specific inflation calculation handy for that project. I do have the NASA budget ongoing over many years.
Hold on, you said it was how many billion?
7.5. 7.5.
7 5 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 in January of 1958 is error. Please use values less than 10 million.
Dun 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 dun.
Okay, we're gonna have to do some math. Ryan, you ready? Doing math live on the podcast.
Guys, we're so sorry for what's about to happen.
Okay, $1 million
is a number.
Correct.
Of dollars.
In 58 is equivalent to 9 million in 2018.
Okay.
So basically you're multiplying by 9. So you said it was 7.5 billion?
Yes.
So 7 times 9 is 63.
Yep.
9 times point, so $67.5 billion.
$67.5 billion. In
2018 dollars.
Now, for what it's worth, that was the estimated cost of the project to execute because, as we know, there is no 21-man Air Force Airman base that is currently on the moon.
Or is there?
As far as we know. I thought that was about to turn into an EDM beat real quick. Heck.
Bro.
Did we just make a thing?
Yep.
We made a goddamn thing.
Should I just make a beat tape out of all the sounders that we use and put it on Spotify?
Would you guys get down with that?
They can't respond right now, Ryan.
Hey. Yell louder. Hi, whatifpodcast.com.
Yeah, okay.
Tell us if you want us to make a beat tape.
Twitter poll or something.
Dude, I would rap about aliens to our sounder board beats. It sounds like a good time.
Mm-hmm. Really piss off that one guy.
Except for that one guy who doesn't like it when I rap, who to him I would cordially say...
That's my alt account, bro.
To that one specific gentleman, I would like to very cordially say, eat my shorts.
Heck.
So, obviously, the Linux project never came to fruition. But the reason that I wanted to point it out is because in 1958, we now have records that the U.S. Air Force was spending Air Force dollars to try to set up a military base on the moon. I think that's relevant to what we're talking about.
And have been talking about it kind of ever since. I found a video clip today from, I think it was like June or July of 2001, in which George Bush is talking about making a moon base by I think he said 2015 or something.
Sure.
Like, two things. Almost every president has proposed some sort of like, we're going to do some crazy stuff in outer space and it's going to happen soon so that you can thank me for it.
Yes.
Secondly, I hadn't listened to him talk in a while. Do you remember when we used to think that he sounded like incredibly stupid?
Yeah, and now we have
He sounded like a goddamn genius relative to our current president.
Did he use like a 6-letter word?
I understood everything he said. That he was speaking in full coherent sentences. I didn't necessarily agree with him, but like he was actually conveying ideas.
It's a novel concept these days.
It was wild.
Anyway. It's wild. I'm taken aback.
Yeah.
I'm in shock.
But yeah, that's been a theme like ever since we started to have rockets and the general ability to launch things off planet. Like, yeah, we should put people out there.
For sure.
We should build stuff out there because we're people and we build stuff.
For sure.
And we colonize things.
Yes. I think also part of the reason that that Project Linux never really came to fruition was also because, well, A, it was rejected due to cost, and also because the Air Force would have had to take the entire brunt of the planning and execution of it.
So that money was never actually allocated or spent?
Correct.
It was just proposed?
Correct.
Got it.
And it spun off an additional project, which is called Project Horizon, which actually came a year after Project Linux and was a partnership between the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force, which at the time had basically they owned the concept of space because NASA was still not like fully on its feet at the time.
They owned the concept of space.
They owned the rewind.
If you think about outer space, you must pay a fee.
Give it back!
You must pay a licensing fee to the United States Air Force.
Give it to me. They owned they owned space exploration as a concept.
It was their responsibility within the United States government.
Yes.
Got it.
And so there was a group at the Army Ballistic Missile Agency, which created a report that was called Project Horizon. And the title is, which I think is just great and badass, and I kind of wish someone would make a movie about this, but it's called Project Horizon, a U.S. Army study for the establishment of a lunar military outpost. And it says the lunar outpost is required to develop and protect potential U.S. interests on the moon, to develop techniques in moon-based surveillance of the Earth and space, in communications relay, and in operations on the surface of the moon to serve as a base for exploration of the moon and for further exploration into space and for military operations on the moon if required, and to support scientific investigations on the moon.
Can I give some evidence to support the idea that we or someone else succeeded in this?
I'd like that very much.
Is now the time that we can maybe send it?
Well, yes. Let me say one thing about this.
Okay.
Slightly less expensive in its estimation of cost. The follow-up study was only about $6 billion.
Okay.
Which, again, at the time, you're
Compared
still talking
to
about
7.5.
Yeah, which you're still talking about roughly being like $40 billion. What's that?
6 times 9 would be 45.
$45 billion. But
nope, 54.
6 times 9 is 54. You guys, someone just absolutely threw their phone out the window or shit their pants. But keep in mind that like in 1966, the adjusted dollars for NASA's budget itself was $44 billion. So that wasn't like an incomprehensible amount of money.
Which is a lot more than NASA's current budget, is it not?
Significantly, yeah.
They're like
more
20,
than double.
20 something right now?
Ish, yeah. So I just say that to say like not an incomprehensible amount of money to be spent in adjusted dollars at the time.
But a lot.
But still a lot of money. And their idea of Horizon was essentially that there would be 40 separate Saturn launches that would, not two Saturn rocket launches that would take cargo to the moon. In 65, their plan was to land men who would build and construct. And by 66, they would have a fully constructed outpost that would be manned by 12 men. And then there would be...
Why's it got to be all dudes, though?
Well, the article says men. At the time, it was,
Dicks.
Unfortunately, only men.
That moon colony is not going to work out very well.
Probably not. Not for very long, anyway. But I guess, yes, before we go full send, the reason I wanted to bring up these projects was basically to say that at the time, these were not like public efforts. These were not public studies.
Right.
These were secretive things that the government was doing to say, you know, NASA didn't even exist or existed like in its very early stages, but there were governmental bodies that were planning, securing funding, doing reports and studies on how can we get out there, how can we settle things, how can we be there more permanently, etc.
I also think it's important to note that prior to 67, there was nothing in a legal sense, like regulating who could do what in outer space.
Is there really now?
In 67, there was a treaty, a space treaty,
Yes.
signed by, I don't remember how many countries, but a bunch, all of them that had the ability to get to outer space, that said, there were like two main points. One, that no one can place in orbit on the moon or on any other celestial body or otherwise stationed in outer space, nuclear or any other weapons of mass destruction. Space nukes, out.
Well,
And it limits the use of the moon and other celestial bodies exclusively to peaceful purposes and expressly prohibits their use for establishing military bases, installation or fortifications, weapons testing of any kind, or conducting any military maneuvers.
wow.
Space is peaceful.
That knocks out Project Horizon, because written out in the report, the Army, Navy, Air Force combination had in their budget line items for something I did not know was a real thing, which is called an unguided Davy Crockett rocket.
A Crockett rocket?
A Davy Crockett rocket, which would...
who is he?
Who is Davy Crockett?
No, the rocket.
Okay.
Tell me about him.
Well, he's a low-yield nuclear warhead supplying rocket.
We should not put him in outer space.
Which would be obviously deployed by the 12 men manning the base. They also had in their line items for the budget claymore mines that had been modified to puncture pressure suits.
That's aggressive.
To defend the base as well. So those rules knock out the
but that was planned prior to 67.
That's
correct.
correct. Yes, absolutely. Just saying there, maybe those rules were written in response to, hey, those guys, they're looking to put nuclear warheads in space puncturing claymore mines.
Well, Ryan, maybe in between 58 and 67, someone succeeded
in
putting shit on the moon.
Define shit. Like real shit?
Well,
like poo?
Not
like poo
feces.
Shit?
No.
Not feces.
No fecal matter on the moon.
Okay. Well, there's definitely fecal matter on the moon, right?
I think you just got to shit your pants. You can't take your pants off on the moon.
Shit your suit?
But you take your pants off, your butt freeze.
That's true, but
your whole program will be cocked if you take your pants off up there.
But don't they have like some version
You're not
of...
supposed to take your whole pants off.
Never take your whole pants off. But did they have like a version of how an airplane dumps its toilet?
Pardon? They had airplane toilets on the surface of the moon?
Didn't the astronauts...
I think you got shit in a bag inside your suit.
And then what? Bring it back with you and be like, here's my shit?
Well, I think you could expel it from one of the modules, but just if you're like down on the surface doing a moonwalk,
right.
I think you got to keep everything in your suit.
Yes. My point was to say...
Then what?
There is shit on the moon, correct?
I don't know. There's shit in outer space somewhere probably, unless they brought it all the way back with them.
Which to me seems like that would be a waste of... that'd be a waste of like energy, right?
Well, it'd be the same weight you went up with. You just turned your food to shit.
Right, but that would make the return more difficult if you weren't shedding some volume of weight.
Maybe it's hard to expect. I don't fucking know. That's
How
not
long
the
were
point
those guys
here.
gone for? How many shits did they take?
Which guys?
The Apollo 11 astronauts. How long were they gone for?
A few days.
A few days? It was way more than that.
I don't think so. I think it's like a couple days there, a couple days back.
Couple days on?
They weren't on the moon for a couple days. Let's see.
Are you sure?
No.
Damn.
Let's see.
Please hold while we explore the possibilities of moon poo. Hey, moon pie.
They landed on July 20th.
That deserves more credit.
Sorry, I was not listening to you. I was trying to read.
I said moon pie.
That's okay.
Thanks.
Okay, so they landed on July 20th. They walked around on the moon on the 21st.
Okay.
Okay, the whole mission lasted 8 days, 3 hours, 18 minutes, and 35 seconds. That's an extremely precise answer to your question.
Very.
Also, Buzz Aldrin did not get paid to answer a question from a week ago.
Yeah, well, was that on the paid episode too last week?
Couldn't tell you.
Sorry, guys, we have a hard time keeping them separate. We do a lot of casting of pods.
He got paid. No, he just got his regular military wages.
Yes,
and he expensed like $30 of a rental car.
And he got like an additional, what was it, like $50 a week or something like that, or $50?
Zero.
$50 total. No, he did. He got a bonus. I read the article. It was like he got some additional thing for going to space.
No, he filed an expense report for $35 because he had to rent a car.
Well,
anyway, there's weird shit on the moon, maybe. According to,
but not real shit is what we've decided.
Right. There are perhaps artificial structures on the moon,
which we potted about.
Sort of. I'm going to take a different approach this time.
Please do.
There's a gentleman named Vito Sakiri.
Okay.
Who claims that he saw images of the moon taken by and provided to him by NASA.
Okay.
That clearly show, amongst other things, artificial structures and spacecraft. So in 1979, he was an engineer, and another engineer friend of his showed him a book called Someone Else is on the Moon, written by former NASA scientist George H. Leonard.
My name's Secure Team 10. And if you look at this,
it does sort of get into that territory.
If you look at this visual, this rock and this rock combined with this rock, make it look like the Illuminati symbol. Oh, what do you guys think about that? This has been Secure Team 10. Sorry, carry on.
You're a piece of shit.
That's directed at Ryan, not Secure Team 10. So Leonard was a photo analyst for NASA. And this gentleman who wrote the book, he thought that there was some weird stuff on the moon based on some photos he had seen while he was working at NASA, and he wrote a book about it. Vito read this book along with another engineer friend of his, and he decided, hey, we should just ask NASA if we can see those photos. Worst case scenario, they say, no, you can't. And we say, okay.
You fuck off!
No.
This would have been good for the bear man.
Yeah, we'll just, we can do it ourselves.
Flat him. No! Hey, let me see your photos. No! You fuck off!
So they just called NASA and talked to the NASA librarian, which was a thing in the 70s, I guess. Or maybe it still is. Who knows?
Sick. I hope it still is.
His name was Roger. They talked to Roger, the librarian.
Sick.
And they kind of ran them through some hoops and gave them a bunch of stipulations, including they were only allowed to view these photos and materials for over the course of 3 days, 8 hours per day. They were not allowed to take any notes or bring in any cameras or recording devices of any kind.
Okay.
And they could not be left alone with any of the photos. They had to be supervised by a NASA employee the whole time. Yes?
These photos came from what again?
He just asked to see whatever photos of the moon that NASA had.
And at what time was this?
This was in late 70s, 79, I believe.
Okay, carry on.
Turns out they had roughly 2 million photos of the moon.
Well, that's just too goddamn many.
It is too many to look through in 24 hours.
Also, it's not that big.
The moon is pretty big.
That's not that big.
Okay.
We've got Google Maps. That's like, it can't be that many photos.
They were allowed to bring a magnifying glass in, and that was it. And they had to be escorted in and out of the building and on any food or bathroom breaks.
Oh, is that an ant? It looks like an ant.
Are you Australian? What the fuck was that?
It was a bad combo.
So they showed up and they were escorted to a room that just had a bunch of tables with photos spread out across them.
These are physically printed photos?
Yeah. 32 by 24 inch photo prints.
Holy Christ. That's a big fucking photo.
Big fuckers. Absolute units.
Absolute unit of a moon photo.
And then on the back of each print, they had information about the photo. So what it was taken with. Most of them were taken by the orbiter probes.
Yep.
So it recorded the distance from the surface that the photo was taken at.
Yep.
The angle at which it was taken and the location of the sun relative to the moon. So you could determine shadow depth and stuff, I guess. Yep. So he says in this huge pile of photos that they were allowed to view.
How quick are these dudes? All right, dude, we got 24 hours, we got 3 days, 8 hours apiece. 2 million photos, just one at a time. Go, 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 go.
They were at NASA's photo library, which houses total 2 million images. Okay. They were allowed to view a few thousand of them.
What's on the other ones?
Well, there's some wild shit on the ones that they were allowed to see, according to Vito, at least.
Then what's on the other ones?
Wilder shit or more boring shit? Who knows? He says on these photos, he saw a boulder that appeared to have been rolled uphill, leaving a track behind it.
Sure.
Quote, obvious machinery on the surface, showing sections that had been bolted together. 3 bridges crossing a chasm that he said reminded him of the Grand Canyon. and pipe fittings that looked like either four-way intersections or T intersections that could be seen in almost every photo.
What?
He also said that he saw 3 pyramids.
Tight.
And a UFO rising from the surface out of one of the craters.
Sick.
Mm-hmm.
Into it. I have a dumb question.
Yes.
Actually, I retract that. I have a smart question.
Oh, okay.
I'm proud of my questions. I'm a good person. No, if we can
Face your fears, son.
There we go.
Sorry. Timing is everything.
I already started my question. Now I don't know where to go. If we can do Google Maps imagery using Google satellites to document and map every square inch essentially of the planet.
Yes.
Down to like a zoomable distance of, I don't know, whatever it is, like 80 feet up or 100 feet up or whatever they list their like final zoom as.
Yep.
What prevents us? Why hasn't Google specifically done that exact same satellite treatment to the lunar surface to give us a similar look at that body?
You're saying why hasn't Google sent their own, like, organized their own lunar mission?
Yes, but also what would prevent Google from sending one of those satellites that they send up all the time to document the planet far enough up to get into lunar orbit and orbit around the moon and document the entire surface of the moon with the same granular level of detail that they provide? Like,
I would imagine it's much more complicated to get something to the moon and in orbit than it is to get into Earth orbit. I also imagine there are more regulations that you would have to go through to get something like that approved.
Yeah, but like they're the richest
company. It costs a lot more.
But they're like the richest company in the world. Can you imagine what would happen if they released Google Moon?
Well, first of all, they have, right? Just based on NASA images.
What do you mean? Google Moon?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
I think so.
What?
Pretty sure. But I mean, I will type Google Moon into Google right now and see what
where's
happens.
the goddamn ding pipe fittings?
Google.com/moon is a thing you can do. Yeah.
Well, then I stand corrected in my stupidity.
What I assumed your question is why hasn't Google done this themselves? And I guess the answer would be they don't think that NASA's lying to everyone or they're in on it.
Got it. They're not being allowed to because they would see the pipe fittings.
And hiring a bunch of engineers and astrophysicists and all the people you would need to pull that off would probably not be worth it for them to prove that there are pipe fittings on the moon.
Pyramids, pipe fittings, bridges.
UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
He also says, going back to Vito for a second. On the last day, this is a quote, as I was escorted back to the main room, I noticed a false panel that was slightly ajar, and I looked inside. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves were filled with 3-ring binders. Roger, that's the librarian, told us that most of the binders were filled with the details of NASA's scientific experiments conducted in space. The rest, he said, were simply transcripts of the manned space flights, including the moon landings.
Which, by the way, is topical as fuck. Did you see the news today?
No.
NASA worked with a third party who I cannot remember off the top of my head right now to digitize and release thousands of hours of the Apollo 11 mission audio that they have. So it's not just the transcripts. You could actually listen to like Buzz talking and like there's like fucking, they're like joking about oatmeal and shit and like, but it's literally thousands of hours of the actual mission audio.
There's audio from, I think it was 11, of them in the, like the module or whatever they were in at the time.
Yeah.
And a turd floating through and them trying to figure out whose it was and how it happened. So back to your question from half an hour ago.
Moon pies!
Yeah, they just got shit floating around in there.
Space shit.
He goes and...
Let's go get your shit.
Get your shit together.
Get your shit.
Vito opens up one of the binders and starts paging through, and he sees a section that says, quote, Houston, we've got a bogey at 2:00. And the response, Roger that, Apollo. Switching to Alpha, roll 8 degrees and begin sequence. And then another one that says, Mission Control, we've got Santa Claus coming over the hill. Roger, Apollo, hold your fix, switching to Bravo. So Alpha and Bravo were allegedly separate radio channels that were not public. They were like secure communication between Mission Control and the Apollo astronauts.
Not included in the thousands of hours of newly released audio, likely.
Probably not. So he's inferring that he's come across these transcripts of them seeing, quote, bogeys, and then switching to a private channel to discuss what the next steps are.
Hey, there's an alien up here. What do we do about it?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck.
And there have been other people that have also reported hearing about Santa Claus as code for unidentified things and or beings.
Sick. I fuck with that heavy.
There are a few other people that have similar stories. I don't know how much we want to get into those. There's one other one of note in terms of the I've seen evidence of or directly seen weird shit on the moon that shouldn't be there.
Yes.
Ken Johnston is one of those people.
Okay.
That's Johnston.
Mm-hmm.
He was a consultant employed by a NASA contractor working out of the Johnson Space Center in 1971. And his job was storing, curating, and cataloging Apollo images. One aspect of his job was to like package and ship things like samples and images to labs to do for like outsourcing testing on certain things.
Sure.
He claims that during this time, he saw NASA photo technicians editing out details of anomalies and UFOs in lunar photos.
Ooh,
and
sexy.
I'll put a link in the notes. He grabbed some of those photos when he left, the unedited ones.
So we have some before and afters?
We have befores, at least. Because back then you would have had to like manually and probably permanently edit images.
For and after.
Yeah. But there's an archive.org link of 10 or 12 of these photos. And some are like if you look at this thing that I circled and inside I drew the shape that I want you to see, you'll see this shape.
Yeah.
Some of them are that. Others are like genuinely pretty weird.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I like it.
And there are others that are like maybe even less credible than some of those. Carl Wolfe, Karlwolfe, is an interesting one. Another dude who claims to have seen NASA employees editing photos before releasing them. And a woman named Donna Hare, who also claims to have seen unedited photos that had UFOs in them, and claims to have seen people editing said photos before releasing them.
Ooh. I actually want to talk about somebody who's got who somewhat credibly says they have seen both before and afters as well of some doctored photos from similar space agencies. But before we get to that, we're going to take a super quick break and throw it over to friend of the podcast, Rob Christofferson, at Your UFO Guy, who hosts a podcast we really like called Our Strange Skies, and he's going to tell you about it right now.
What's up, UFOnauts? It's your UFO guy, Rob Christofferson. Have you ever been curious about the UFO phenomenon, but unsure of where to start? Have you ever wondered about just what crashed at Roswell? Have you ever wanted common sense advice about licking UFOs? The answer's don't. Then check out the Our Strange Skies podcast, where we dive into America's rich UFO history and uncover what these sightings say about ourselves. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and most podcast apps, as well as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Don't forget to look up, because you never know what you'll find in Our Strange Skies. In Gray we trust.
Love you, Rob.
I'm disturbed. I don't know why I decided to do this.
You decided to do this because we have a podcast and you have a podcast, and let's podcast about podcasts. Am I right?
True.
You were talking about cats that claim to have seen versions of doctored NASA photos.
Yeah.
And somebody who's popped up on the show before, who I was going to bring up as it relates to this, is a guy named Mary McKinnon. Gary McKinnon, who was a hacker from the UK, who, if you'll remember, decided to jump around in high-level military computers for like 13 consecutive months.
Was it that long?
He started his hacking of U.S. military and NASA computers in February of 2001 and was caught in March of 2002.
That seems like that's, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Seems like too long. Get out of there, bud.
Yeah, that's, hey, man, not really.
Just a quick look would have did you.
Uh-huh. In an interview he did with Wired in the early 2000s after he had gotten in trouble, they asked him what he found in his digging of... The military said he hacked into 97 U.S. military and NASA computers over a 13-month period, including, he deleting critical files from operating systems, which shut down U.S. military computers, 2,000 of them for over 24 hours, posted on military websites that their security was crap.
My mistake. However,
deleting weapons logs at naval stations.
Weapon logs?
Weapons logs.
Using logs as weapons?
I believe it's more...
Is that the advanced tech that we got from the aliens?
Yes.
Hey, take a heavy thing and hit him with it.
Hit him with a big stick! I think it was more documenting the number of things that they had where they were. But what he said he found was, I'm going to actually read his take from this Wired interview. He says, a NASA photographic expert said that there was a Building 8 at Johnson Space Center where they regularly airbrushed out images of UFOs from the high-resolution satellite imaging. I logged on to NASA and was able to access this department. They had huge high-resolution images stored in their picture files. They had filtered and unfiltered or processed and unprocessed versions of the files. My dial-up 56K connection was very slow trying to download one of these files. But as this was happening, I had remote control of their desktop, and by adjusting it to 4-bit color and low screen resolution, I was able to briefly see one of these pictures. It was a silvery cigar-shaped object with geodesic spheres on either side.
Ooh.
Which to me just sounds like a cack and balls, but there were no visible seams or riveting.
Your balls are geodesic?
I mean, no, but Spaceballs, to bring things full circle, are definitely geodesic.
Desic?
Desic? I don't. Desic.
Nutchich?
Geodesic nutch. Jesus Christ. The sweary boys are at it again.
We should probably wrap things
there
up
was
here.
no reference to the size of the object, and the picture was taken presumably by a satellite. It didn't look man-made or anything like what we've created. I could only get screenshots of the picture, and it didn't go into my temporary files. Someone at NASA discovered what I was doing, and then I was disconnected. Also, I got access to Excel spreadsheets, one of which was titled Non-Terrestrial Officers.
So like they're in airplanes or boats?
It contained names and ranks of U.S. Air Force personnel who were not registered anywhere else and contained information about ship-to-ship transfers.
So people that are on boats?
I think his...
I know the word terrestrial is fun and all, but...
Non-terrestrial officers.
Well, I know, but...
Yes. I mean, I think
they're on a yacht instead of a land yacht is, I think, all that's saying.
I think his insinuation is that these are... Space Force. Or something like that. But anyway, Gary's another one of those people who claims that they know more than they know and hide what they know...
Well, also,
in some version of...
The U.S. was trying to get him over here to put him in jail for like a decade. And then eventually a UK judge was like, nah, you can't move him because he's going to kill himself if you do. And they said, okay, leave Gary alone. He's sad about the aliens that he saw on that computer.
Let Gary live, man. Let that man live.
Literally.
One of the things that I found really interesting digging into this subject is that a lot of people's like takes about this whole topic relate back to, well, what we have for UFOs aren't actually UFOs. It's advanced technology, and that advanced technology is being like reverse engineered or anti-gravity or nuclear. Blah, blah, blah.
Well, I think when it comes to like the moon stuff, in this setting at least, it's evidence that, well, there might be things happening that we don't know about, and NASA might be doing the stuff that we know about, but there might also be a bunch of like black budget, black ops stuff happening in addition. It maybe is not extraterrestrial. It's maybe shit that we're doing and have been doing that our government doesn't want us to know about, or things that other governments or other agencies are doing and that we ain't supposed to know about.
Right. And that's the thing is I think like the space program stuff is such a two-sided sword, because it's like one side of the sword is it's us doing shit in space that is secretive and we're not trying to talk about. And the other side of it is it's shit that is in space that we know about, and we're like doing things to either, investigate it or placate it or defend ourselves from it or whatever. And like, to me, those two things are very different things. Like the whole, are we doing things to explore or colonize or whatever that we don't tell people about? Fucking absolutely. Like there's borderline no possibility that that's not true. If we were doing that shit in the fucking 60s, like planning, trying to, there's no, I mean, I'm not trying to say that I believe we have a colony on the moon. I don't think that's the case. I'm not saying I have any evidence that we don't. Well,
I don't think that's how evidence works.
That's not how evidence works. I really want Google Moon because I want to be able to have all those people that found X picture of X weird pattern or a picture of a plane in the ocean, just be like, go internet trolls and survey the moon and find me the pipe fittings.
Show me what you got.
Show me what you got, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that 53 billion of black budget spending isn't going nowhere every year.
Right. And like the thing
We're
is
doing some shady shit.
Right.
Also, the U.S. just stays breaking treaties. I mean, that wouldn't be surprising if we had militarized space somehow.
Did you break the treaty? If a treaty breaks in the woods and no one knows about it, did it really break?
Yes.
Yes. But also, like, I think that's kind of been our general take on things.
Yeah. They we follow them as they're convenient.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
When they help us, sure.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's interesting. I think for this one for me is like, there's for sure something happening. The extent to which that something is happening is sort of, I don't know. All these people who are like, I've seen doctored photos. It's like, why don't we have any? We don't any. I mean, I guess like you have those 10, 12-ish.
Some of them are weird, bro.
I know.
Ken Johnston
coming in clutch.
All I know is that David Wilcock doesn't have the answers.
Are we talking about blue avians before we go?
Fuck no, we're not.
Okay. Shots fired!
That goofy son of a bitch.
Hey, if y'all don't know, we're getting down to brass tacks here, if you will. We've got a live show coming up in September. It's in Minneapolis. It's at Ice House. It's our 100th episode. We have live music. We have a DJ. We're going to do weird stuff. I'm going to be wearing costumes. Yep. Costumes.
Plural.
Deal with it.
At the same damn time?
At the same damn time.
Also, it's September 19th, more specifically.
It's September 19th. Yes, I was getting there, but I got excited about the costumes that you don't know about yet. We're gonna be having a live recording, a party, a celebration. It's sponsored by Fulton Brewing.
So we're gonna be drunk.
So we're gonna be drinking. It's gonna be fun. So if you're in the Twin Cities area or the Tri-State area or whatever, and you want to come hang out, we'll be there.
Or if you're not, like you're welcome still.
That's true. Come from wherever. We're going to have swag and posters, and we're going to be hanging out and taking photos and chilling, and it'll be good. So, we love y'all. Thanks for supporting the show. I guess we'll probably maybe see you next week.